Hello and welcome to Beyond the Dollar. I am Faith Nyode. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, women's participation in economic development remains central to the achievement of national goals and progress. This particular edition of Beyond the Dollar comes against the backdrop of a regional event. Zimbabwe is going to be hosting the Southern African Development Community SADC Ministers of Gender and Women Affairs in Harare from the 24th to the 27th of June 2025. Now, the meeting aims to review progress on regional gender and development programs while also sharpening focus on implementation as well as interventions that related to gender equality and women's empowerment. While meaningful strides have been made to ensure that we are promoting gender equality, there is still so much that needs to be done, as well as create a truly enabling environment for women to thrive in. We are discussing gender mainstreaming. Are we there yet? As well as gender equality. Are we there yet? And in studio today, I am joined by Minister Monica Muchangwa, the Minister of Women Affairs here in Zimbabwe. Minister, thank you so much for joining us.
It is my pleasure to be here, Faith. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Now, like we did say when we did start, we are approaching a very big regional event that is happening next week from the 24th until the 27th of June. Now, the government of Zimbabwe, through your ministry, is going to be spearheading and hosting that event. Are you prepared for it? What preparations have you put in place? How far are we and how excited are we for this event?
Let me say, as Zimbabwe, we got excited last August. And the build-up to August, when our president took over the chairmanship of SADC, the excitement was just all over. And I must say, the excitement also goes down to those people from the grassroots. And we're looking at women empowerment issues. We're looking at gender equality issues. And these are very important issues which our heads of states are always discussing, even at summit. And I'm happy to say, as you're aware, as our president is the chairman of SADC, we have been given an opportunity, and we are very grateful to our government, which has funded everything. And we are also very grateful to the SADC Secretariat, which our ministry has been working with to make sure that we host a successful meeting for the gender ministers of the region. As you are aware, there are quite a number of frameworks where regional treaties which we've done among our countries, and this is an opportunity to review progress and also to learn from each other. So this gives us an opportunity to talk about the issues which affect women in the region, which are almost the same. These borders are really artificial when we talk about gender equality issues. What women experience in Zimbabwe is exactly what women experience in Botswana, in Namibia, in South Africa, Mozambique, in Malawi, in Tanzania, in DRC, in Reunion, in Madagascar, in Mauritius, and many others, I mean the SADC region. And I want to say this is a region which has really proved to be very effective in terms of making sure that we work together to promote the livelihood of our people. And in this particular case, we look forward to learn a lot from each other. And I'm very grateful that the government of Zimbabwe has made funds available for us to host a successful gender ministers meetings, and my counterparts are quite excited. We work with them very closely, and they're looking forward to come to Zimbabwe and also learn. I will take this opportunity to at least showcase what we do as a Ministry of Women Affairs. You are also aware that I'm a minister who supports the SMEs development in this country. So we'll be having a small exhibition just on the sidelines with the SADC ministers meeting, so that they can also see what we are doing in terms of promoting women. You know that the SMEs in this country, 56% of them are women-owned businesses. So this is an opportunity to showcase progress which we have achieved as a country.
Now, quite exciting because we, like you did say, we're bringing in different regional leaders to talk about issues that are affecting almost everyone within the region. The same issues, doesn't matter if you cross a border or not. Sure. But then In your response, you also touched on what was going to be my follow-up to say, what kind of legacy are you expecting this meeting to leave? What kind of lessons are we willing or are we going to draw from this, and are we going to share with our regional peers as well?
Remember, as a region, we do have a number of treaties, and we've come up with a number of strategies to make sure that we deal with issues of gender equality and women empowerment. And I must say, as a region also, we have at international forums showcased the success stories of our region in terms of dealing with gender equality. We are looking at gender-based violence issues. We are also looking at child marriages. We are looking at how do we beneficiate value addition to make sure that the rural women, rural transformation, which is actually, it comes to the theme of this meeting, which is very, very crucial, which talks about rural transformation. If I may just go through the theme, the SADC meeting is running under the theme, and I quote, promoting innovation to unlock opportunities for sustained economic growth and development towards an industrialized SADC. We can develop as SADC, and it is always, there's a lot of advantages of making sure that when we talk of economic development, we move as a region. It is easier for investors to come and invest in one country, which can be a hub of the SADC region, and that will benefit. There's a lot of downstream benefits for our women, for our girl child, our everybody who really needs to get to the vision. Zimbabwe is for us all, and our president is on record to say we shouldn't leave anyone or any place behind, and we are all looking towards Vision 2030. So these are the issues which we will be talking with the gender ministers and also exchanging experiences.
Now, from what you did say, the theme that this summit is going to run under, I noted a keyword, an industrialized SADC.
Yes.
How then can we ensure that industrialization is harnessed, and what tools can we be implementing in order to uplift women? You are a Minister of Small and Medium Enterprises as well. How can we be implementing innovation and industrialization in that regard in order to see their businesses flourish and uplift them in their livelihoods?
If I just talk about what has been happening in my country, local innovation has really brought a lot of transformation as to how our people are living in the rural areas, in the grassroots areas, and the policies of this government of devolution and decentralization has made sure that we don't leave anybody behind. And as a ministry, we have structures coming from the national, going all the way to the grassroots level. We do have provincial development officers, goes down to district. We've got district development officers, then we've got ward development officers, and we're very grateful all these officers which we have been given by the government to make sure that they knock at each door, to make sure that every woman, no woman will suffer from gender-based violence. No child will be given away into a forced marriage without somebody to help them. The idea is to make sure that we have got this treaty, the SADC protocol on gender and women development. We are looking at that. We want to review its progress across all the SADC region. What are we doing? What plan of action have we come up with? So we share with other countries because we learn from each other. There's a lot which other countries will learn from Zimbabwe, and there's a lot which we learn from other. At all platforms, even at the African Union, intercontinental platform, we are always going as a bloc of SADC. Even as we go to the international forums like the Commission on the Status of Women, we always go as a bloc. And SADC, just last March when we were at New York, United Nations, SADC showcased a very good what is happening within our region. There are issues which we are looking at, empowerment of women. We can't just give lip service to issues of gender equality, mainstreaming of gender within our institutions. We want to see what is happening. We also want to understand from the other countries how many women are now placed in decision-making positions. What are the challenges? What is happening within the political parties in terms of making sure that they give opportunities to our young girls especially, so that we bring everybody on board. We know that in our region we've got a bigger percentage of women, and our governments are very much aware that they can't reach the Vision 2030, the Agenda 2030, which Africa is talking about, without making sure that women are brought on board, without making sure that the social evils which have kept women behind are dealt with. We need to seriously look at issues of gender-based violence. How can we remove it? How can our region have zero tolerance to gender-based violence? We need to look at how can we deal with child marriages. As a country, we have come up with very good policies, and we are very grateful. And in the region, I think our president has been really doing a very good job and trailblazing in making sure that the commitment has been put through policies, strategies, to make sure that our women, our young boys and young women are all mainstreamed. We have begun to see youth in parliament, which was never the case before. And we are grateful to the president because he's using his executive powers to make sure that he puts what has been enshrined in our constitution. It is good to find that in cabinet more than maybe 6 or so out of 26 are young ministers. And this is good. That shows that we are bringing everybody on board. It is also important as ministers of gender to make sure that we have got intergenerational discussions with our young people. Our young people need to learn so that our legacy as we move is, in particular, I'm talking about myself, the experience which I went through during the struggle, fighting side by side with our male colleagues. This has happened in most of our countries in the region. And we want to say, what is the elderly generation leaving behind for the young generation? We can't wait for the young people, young women to come on board until we are gone. We need to take them up now. The young people, they are here now and they are there for the future. So as we walk, we want to encourage each and every one of us among the SADC region to make sure that we apply the strategies which we have come up with, the protocols, the treaties, what we have ratified as countries, to make sure that we bring our girls on board, to make sure that no girl child is married off as a young child, to make sure that there's zero tolerance to gender-based violence. These are the social evils which make the women continue to trail behind their male colleagues.
Now, Minister, a loaded response to the question that I posed to you, and I did pick up a few things that I'd like to follow up on. The other one being the SADC gender protocol. We'll get to that, but you have mentioned issues of child marriages. Now, here in Zimbabwe, there has been a raging debate that somehow the law is turning a blind eye to people who are marrying off their children or people who are marrying children. You hear about it one day, the next day that person has not been prosecuted, they're not behind bars, and they're still out there roaming free. How much of a tolerance do you have towards child marriages in percentage terms, and how much are you fighting to eradicate it entirely?
I think as a ministry, we are alive to the fact that child marriages is still existing in some areas. In most cases is where there's poverty. And we are grateful that the ministry, the government, under the leadership of President E.D. Mnangagwa, we are making sure that there is a lot of developments to transform people's lives, especially in dry areas where they normally don't harvest much. We have seen irrigation being put in those areas, dams being built. We've also seen the units, the business units where we are having gardens where the communities come together. And as a ministry also, we do have a community development fund where we are moving into communities and looking at how we can transform their lives and empower them. Because what is important for for these people who are selling off their children to a man for a bag of maize, we are saying that shouldn't happen. And we are also not waiting for infrastructure in our rural areas. We have got officers under trees who continue to give awareness programs to our communities about what government has put into place, the laws which are there, to make sure that if you are selling of your little girl, that's a crime. Even the aunts and sekurus who sit in that dare to marry off a young girl, they will be considered criminals by the law. So we are saying it is an awareness campaign. These social evils which have been going on, we are also instilling confidence in each and every child to say, you know what, there's something within you which you can do to build this country. And this is in line with our mantra, our president's mantra of Nika, Inovakwa Neve Nevayo, that it's only us who can build our country. And believe you me, as we crisscross our 10 provinces, we have seen everybody raring to go, saying, what is that I can do? The only thing is not to get married for young girls. They now understand that you can actually go to school. That's why we've got presidential scholarship. That also helps. It's actually a whole government approach. What the Ministry of Agriculture is doing to make sure that there is this borehole drilling, and the presidential borehole drilling is there to make sure that we've got these business units, to make sure that there's irrigation. It is making people alive to the fact that they can actually do more for their lives rather than sit back and sell their children off, or rather than making sure only boys go to school. We are saying girl child is just as good as a boy child. They should be given the same opportunities. We are making sure also that we have one-stop centers. That's what we have done. Because in the past, especially as we fight gender-based violence, you cannot tell a woman who is in a home, who is under a lot of pressure, gender-based violence perpetrated at her, you just can't tell that woman to walk away. She first of all thinks about her children, she doesn't know where to go. Now, in this particular case, what we have done as a ministry, we've come up with one-stop centers. This is a place where they can go and everything is under one roof. They will find the victim-friendly unit, the police, to listen to their case. They will also find the legal. The lawyers are there. They also find those who are doing the counseling, because you know gender-based violence is very traumatic. And as such, in that place, in that one-stop center, there is also a counselor. You also find a nurse, because we need to make sure that we deal with there's some children abused sexually, some rapes happening. All these are dealt with under one-stop center. And we are saying to the government of Zimbabwe, as a ministry, if we could have resources to build one-stop centers in every district, 67 districts we have, certainly that would be the best way to deal with gender-based violence. Because then a woman, when the gender-based violence is perpetrated on them, they will go and we actually look after at this place our victims of gender-based violence. The survivors are given opportunities to continue with their livelihood. There is also a market where they can continue to sell. There is also a school where the children can actually be taken care of, so that the mother can actually get back to do something. But these one-stop centers are not actually promoting divorce. Or what they are providing for is a gap where partners can now be given an opportunity. If the man has been perpetrating this GBV on a family, he will also be cancelled, so that this is not the right way to bring up a family, and to give them enough time to recover and come back together. So issues of one-stop center, we've opened a number of them, and we want to open more. And we have been doing this together with also our development partners who have come on board, and this is a very good way of bringing down gender-based violence. We have also engaged our religious leaders, because we know they are custodians of our people, our traditional leaders. We have also engaged them. We've had a number of workshops, seminars, where we also listen to them as traditional leaders. How do they think we can bring more harmony in our communities? We can bring more harmony to see that girl child also goes to school. So as I speak about a whole government approach, we are also looking at what the Ministry of Primary Education and Higher Education are doing. Are they promoting that everyone can go to school? Do we have children having schools in their vicinity, so that we don't have girls walking more than 5 kilometers to go to school? Because that again will promote abuse of our little girls and our little boys. So those are issues which the government is doing. It's a whole government approach, but as a ministry, we are making sure that our people are there. We are grateful also we've been able to give them tools of trade, because our officers, it's not enough to have these officers at district level, at ward level, when they are not able and they are not mobile. And I'm happy to say this year we have had a number of cars which we have allocated to our district development officers, so that there's no child who will be abused and not know who to call on. That's what the president is talking about. No one should be left behind, and no place should be left behind. This is what we're doing.
So promoting an inclusive environment, a
Yes.
safe space, not only
Safe
for
space.
women, but for the girls. And I'm sure
That's
in that regard also, you are making sure that the girls themselves are
Yeah.
aware of their rights.
That's true.
And they know that this is something that I cannot tolerate, and this is something I should report, and this one is okay, I can let this one go.
In fact, there are campaign awareness. Remember, in 2013, Zimbabwe, we endorsed our constitution, which was people-driven,
Yes.
and that the people were consulted before this constitution was put together, and it was endorsed in 2013. It is an extremely good document. Our constitution is something to be proud of. It has enshrined all the rights of women, girls, and boys, and everybody. And when we look at provisions 80, 17, you can actually see the rights are clearly put there. So what we are doing is they carry out this campaign awareness. They are also unpacking those provisions which are in the Constitution, so that everyone, little girl, can understand that if here I'm being abused, I can actually report about this. There's somebody who can help me to get out of this problem in harmony. And what is important at the end of the day, we build communities, we develop communities. So we continue to unpack the rights of each and every one, that, so that everybody understands. All the men have got to understand. As a ministry, we have also upscaled our male engagement sessions, because it's important for men. Some of them do it out of ignorance. So we also talk to the men. So that they understand the benefits of bringing up a family in a GBV, in a no GBV area environment.
So
that
also
brings up an empowered citizen.
So you're sort of striking some gender equality in your awareness. It's not only about the women at the end of the day, but the men also have to be active participants in protecting
very
our
important,
women.
very important. I'm quite happy when I speak about this. We are very proud of our president. President Dr. E.D. Mnangagwa signed the high-level political compact to end violence against women and girls. So that is a commitment, a testament to the fact that he at the highest office in this country, says zero tolerance to gender-based violence.
So now, like I did mention earlier, you gave a response that also touched on the SADC Gender Protocol. In your response, you gave it as a regional assessment of what has been done. But let's zero it in now to Zimbabwe, into our country. What progress have we made now in increasing women's representation in decision-making roles? Not just making your decisions at home to say, today we're eating this, but at bigger levels, at parliamentary levels, so to speak. How much progress have we made, and are we there yet?
First of all, let me say Zimbabwe has really shown its commitment towards gender equality and women empowerment. And yes, Zimbabwe ratified the SADC Treaty, the SADC Protocol on Gender Equality. Not only that, Zimbabwe has actually launched the UN Security Council the resolution, which actually talks to women's peace and security. And these are some of the issues we want to then ask, as we talk with the other countries, how much progress have we gone? What are the plan of actions which all the countries have come up with in terms of making sure that has been done? We are talking of Beijing since 1995. What kind of plan of action countries have done? What progress has we done? We have done this even at regional level, at continental level, and even at global level at the United Nations, where we said, how far have we gone in terms of making sure that women are getting into political decision-making positions? How many women, and we're not just looking at the public sector, we are also looking at the private sector. As a ministry, we feel the problems of gender equality shouldn't just be focused on the private sector, or on the public sector, but also private sector. By the way, our ministry, for the first time, we did the first inaugural meeting of Women in Leadership Summit, and we brought in private sector leaders, women leaders, and they spoke. So we actually, as a ministry, are actually aware of the fact that we need to move with everybody. We need to make sure that there's no sexual harassment. We need to make sure that girls are confident as they go. They are going into jobs because of merit. We need to make sure that the Labour Act is very clear, and our Labour Act is very, very clear to that effect. And we are grateful to many other acts which we have come up with. A lot of girls who were actually drawing backwards because they were afraid of cyberbullying. You know, social media is good in many things, but it also has got its problems. It's a lot of bullying goes around, and young girls were beginning to say, you know, I like to encourage other young girls to participate in politics. And sometimes when they then try to get into there's so much cyberbullying, and I'm grateful that as a country we've come up with an act, Data Protection Act, and also the Cyber Bill, which will then protect our people. And we are continuously also engaging editors of our media institution to say whatever we write, let it not be derogatory. When we write about a woman who is in a decision-making position, let's focus on what she's doing and what she has to do to make sure that she carries out the mandate, rather than look at minor things. So this is the teaching we cut across all sectors. And as a ministry, we have come on board with workshops in the media, with our journalists, the importance of making sure that issues of women should never be put under the carpet. We need our women to be dynamic. We need our girls to know who they are. We need our girls to take STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. We want them to be engineers. We know that girls are very powerful. We know that they are multitask, and they are very capable. And this is good for the development of our country. And this is what we are seeing our president very much alive to, making sure that girls have been given an opportunity. Remember, we have got that quota in our constitution.
Yes,
the provision of that quota, which is talking about 60 members of parliament drawn, 6 drawn from the 10 provinces. That has helped a lot in terms of bringing the numbers of our women. But we are also saying we are going round instilling confidence in our women to say we want more women competing on the first past the post, because it's important to get more women in parliament. We know women are micromanagers, and that helps a lot. They look at social issues, which sometimes other people look at and think it doesn't matter, but that makes a country gets to where we want to go. Issues of sanitary wear, the provision of sanitary wear to our girls, is a very important topic.
And that is,
and I know a lot of people have thought it's a taboo to talk about it. But if we're talking about gender equality and then we don't look at provision of sanitary wear, that is menstruation poverty is a serious drawback for our girls. And I'll tell you what, I'll give you an example. If a girl in our rural area has no access to sanitary wear, when they go to school, we all know at the end of every month, every girl goes through that. That's our legacy. That's how women then bring up children. We continue to bring up the populations. So that is important for everybody to see. So if we don't provide sanitary wear to that girl child, what it means is when they go to school, they spoil their uniform and they feel so embarrassed. And next time they don't come to school. And just to think about it, if a girl child is going to miss 5 or 4 or 5 a week of school every month, how many days in a year of missing school? And then you then want that child to compete adequately with a boy child. Does it really make sense? So you see what it makes. So also, we are talking about sexual reproductive health. If we don't look at that, what it means is we are having children who are not healthy. We are having mothers bringing up children and their health is not being taken care of. What it means that mother cannot adequately look after their babies and their families. And what happens with that? We don't have a healthy family, we will not have a healthy community, and we will not have a healthy nation. And yet we say a healthy nation is a wealthy nation.
So now we have spoken in great lengths and great strides about what we are looking forward to in regards to the summit that is upcoming. We have also spoken about what we have done as a country, as a region, to ensure that women's rights and women's rights are respected, as well as included in wherever they should be included in. But now, how are we going to ensure that the resolutions that come up during this SADC summit that is coming up next week are implemented effectively across the region by all partners? Do we have mechanisms in place to ensure there's accountability and they are marking some goals to say, we have done this, we have done that?
As a region, we have got a mechanism framework where we monitor the success stories, and this is precisely what we'll be monitoring, the success stories. How many young girls are on board in political decision-making positions? How many women are councillors? How many are in the executive, in cabinet of our countries? How many women are in the high positions in the public sector? How many women are in the private sector as CEOs, as COOs? So this is how we monitor the progress. We are going to see what is that we can do together as a region to continue to improve the issues, the women empowerment issues. Women empowerment, let me say this, we all know that for a very long time, women didn't own any means of production. Most countries in the SADC region were colonized like Zimbabwe. And during colonialism, we know that women were almost 3 times oppressed. Oppressed in their homes, oppressed in their communities, and oppressed by colonialism. And we know that even beginning in our villages, women didn't own anything. Baba was the one who owned anything. Badza raivira baba, mombe zaive za baba, mbudzi za baba, everything, gejo, anything you can think of. And we are now saying it's important to empower that woman so that she can really empower the family. And when we're talking about women empowerment, I think it's very, very important for the public to understand. It is not about favoring women against men. It is actually about bringing the whole society up. Because the women who we are saying we should empower, it's your daughter. The woman who we want to be empowered is your wife. The woman who we are empowering is your mother. The woman who we are empowering is your granddaughter. So when these women are empowered, we are empowering our families. We are empowering our community. We are empowering our nation. And this should be acceptable to each and everyone. There is no one who is talking about displacing men on this table of decision-making positions, but we are talking about bringing more women so that we can have that gender equality and we will have more productivity because the women are very focused in what they do. And we are not talking, when we say we need women in high positions, we are not talking about doing them a favor. It's merit. The government of Zimbabwe has put deliberate policies to make sure that girl child goes to school. At independence, we saw the government, what they did up to today. We now have a lot of our girl child, Faith, who are very highly educated. And there's no reason why we cannot have these women in high decision-making positions. That will take this country to achieve the Vision 2030 we want. And we want the whole region to look at what they've done, their plan of actions, the achievements they've got, the challenges, how we can deal with those challenges. We have said there are patriarchal thinking. How do we deal with that? The things which happen in some religious churches, how do we deal with that? How do we engage them so that we move together with them? It's never going to be a fight. It is a question of moving with everybody and making everybody come on board. So the buy-in of each and everyone across all sectors is important. The empowerment I'm talking about, it now talks about what is that we are doing for the women to empower them. It can't be a talk show. Are we teaching them business entrepreneurship skills? Are we teaching them how to start a business? I know the biggest challenge everybody talks about is access to finance. Whilst Zimbabwe government has been dealing with that, we still find challenges. We have a women development fund, which comes through my ministry. We have a community development fund, which comes through my ministry. And I also administer 2 banks. The Women Microfinance Bank, which was formed in 2017 with a sole target of women, knowing clearly that women have no collateral. The issue I talked about, that women historically didn't have any means of production. So Zimbabwe came up with this bank. And I'm very proud because this, even when I'm talking at international forums, the fact that Zimbabwe came up with the Zimbabwe Women Microfinance Bank to make sure that they give women collateral-free loans is a very progressive thing. Yes, there are challenges. The women microfinance has not been fully capitalized, but we are, as a ministry, together with the Minister of Finance, talking about bringing in investors because we see a lot of women raring to go. They have got projects. We need to support them. We need to support cooperatives. There are a lot of cooperatives in this country. Some cooperatives, they are in carpenter fishing. Some cooperatives are in potato growing. Some cooperatives are in dairy. Some cooperatives in mining. Some cooperatives in farming. So we are, as a ministry, working together with the Ministry of Agriculture and others to make sure that we support them. That's how our communities can develop and transform their lives.
Now, I am glad that you did touch on the issue of we are not displacing men. We are just also putting women on the same table as them. Because the arguments have been, for example, June is Men's Mental Health Month, but the argument has been no one is making noise about it, no one talks about it, and yet we have 6, 7, 8, 9 holidays for women throughout the year. So then how are we ensuring that men get to understand that, no, you are not being displaced. We're just making sure that everyone has an equal share of the pie and everyone is equal, everyone has the equal opportunities, no one is higher than the other, everyone gets a share of what we are giving them.
I just want to say we love our men. That's very important. I'm a mother of 4 boys and I love my boys. And I love them to get all the opportunities which they can get. When we are talking about gender equality, we are saying let's not leave others behind. When we are talking about empowering the women and instilling confidence in our young girls because of this patriarchal thinking which has been there and which some are still practicing today, we continue then to talk to them so that they get out of that mind. When we talk about talking to our boys, we are saying, when we talk about he for she champion, we are saying the issues about gender equality cannot be talked about women alone because it's not a women issue. It's a societal issue. It's an economic issue. We need to be able to bring on board more than 52% of the population so that they actively participate in the economic development of their country. So it's not about displacing men, and we will continue to do those male engagement sessions, and we would like to celebrate our men. And as a ministry, as I said, we are upscaling our male engagement sessions because it's important. We need to discuss about this and the mental health. And we are also alive to the fact that there are women now who are beginning to abuse the men. And let me say this, gender-based violence doesn't look at gender. It doesn't look at who is perpetrating it. You are a culprit. It doesn't matter whether you're a woman who is hitting your husband or throwing hot oil to the face of your husband. That is a crime against this country. You cannot perpetrate gender-based violence. It doesn't matter whether it is a woman doing it or a man doing it. It's an evil which we have to deal with as a society. And there are laws against that. And as I say, it's criminal.
Now, we have talked about everything now because the issues that affect women or issues that have to do with gender equality, gender equity, and all that, we can go all day talking about it, honestly speaking, and then it still can never be enough because every second, another woman is getting through a challenge that needs to be addressed and talked about. But now let's talk about gender financing, gender budgeting. You did talk about finances.
It's very important.
Yes, you spoke about the Women Microfinance Bank. So the gender responsive budgeting has become a very critical tool in ensuring national resources benefit both men and women very equally. what role do you see now SADC playing in ensuring that they're promoting gender-sensitive budgeting and resource allocation in their member states? And also, how is Zimbabwe integrating gender-sensitive budgeting in its economic planning? And what role now does SADC play in encouraging this across the region? I know a loaded
I
question.
think we have we have a strategy for the region already for gender responsive gender budgeting. It is important because whatever we are putting in place, whatever policies we're doing, whatever progress we have achieved, if we don't have resources, we will not get the results we want. It is important to put money where our mouth is. I mean, these women, young girls who we are talking about, they've got to be budgeted. And when we go through the budget cycle of this country, we have to issue as a ministry, we are always going around doing stakeholder conferences, stakeholder consultations to make and understand what is that, how they want to be helped. I'm sure you've seen a lot which has been happening in our country. Our youth are being taken care of. There's a youth empowerment bank which is there to make sure they empower the youth. We've just seen the president with the Empowerment Fund of Youth, and we have seen youth being empowered because that's critical. We've seen the vocational training schools being refurbished and making sure that no youth is just staying there, no youth is without education, without employment, without training. At least we make sure those youth which we have not managed to go to to high school, higher tertiary school, we make sure they are trained in vocational training center. That's important. We have got training schools also as a ministry. We have one in Masvingo, Maud Muzenda Training Center, and we've got also the National Training Center, which is in Mashist, at Jamaica Inn, where we take all the communities and those who are prepared to learn. So we have budgets for this training. We are training our women to do things which they normally walk into a shop to buy. Today, if you go to the grassroots, not many women will go to these big supermarkets to buy dishwashing soap, for example, to buy floor polish, for example, detergents, because we are teaching them to make them and sell them among themselves. We have also come up with ESOLs, with the where kupanana mari. You know, these things are going so far. Circles, you will be surprised. Women they started off by buying maybe kitchen utensils, but now they went up to buy each other a car, and now they are even buying land at growth points so that they can build homes. We begin to see transformation of life. Women through these circles, putting solar, children in the rural areas. That gap there's been a bridge now between the rural and urban. No child in the rural areas can say, because I grew up in a rural area, I don't know how to use a computer, a laptop, or whatever. We have seen true transformation. We've seen the Ministry of ICT moving into all the rural districts, making sure that they've come up with an information center where young children who are doing some homeworks, they can go and research on the internet. These are things which are empowering our rural girls and boys and our women. So we want to continue to see budgeting of that money. This is why I'm very grateful. The Minister of Treasury will always make sure they give us that budget of the Women Development Fund. You will be surprised. $500, the difference it can make with a woman in the rural areas. What is important is just not to give them the money, is to train them those business entrepreneurial skills to make sure that they know what is record keeping, how do they start a business, how do they keep their money, how they open an account, financial inclusion. That is also important. These are the issues which we'll be talking about with all the SADC gender ministers. How do we make sure that women are also coming on board in terms of financial inclusion? Because it's important. How do we teach our women digital skills? Because if we are not going to teach our women digital skills, we are automatically discriminating them. We know that most businesses are now being done online. So we have to make use good use of the internet,
and
of
the
social
technology
media,
skills.
so that whatever they sell, whatever they make in the rural areas, you know, if you make your tomatoes and you sell them on social media, you'll be able to reach quite a number of people. And you can also compare how you are selling and how the others are doing. As a ministry, we make sure that all our women, what they make with their hands, we help them attend all the exhibitions, agricultural show, ZITF, and we don't end there. We actually take our women to regional markets, to Botswana, so that they can learn also and showcase what they make and be able to sell what they make. They go to Malawi, Zambia, and also the Zambians and Malawians also come here to learn from what our women are doing. That's what I said when we say we are here now as SADC gender ministers to review each other's plan of action, what progresses we achieved, what challenges do we still continue to face, how together can we, so the resolution which we come up with will then go to our heads of states. And then they will also look at that because they support us. We have got a lot of support from the highest offices. That commitment is there and the testament is there for everybody to see. We have seen girl child being promoted, and we continue to want to see more of those girls. We are happy, even in the media, we see girl child doing so well. This is good. This is important. It's always good that we work together, our boys and girls, our men and women working together. That will make us achieve the Vision 2030. Even the issues of gender equality, gender mainstreaming are in the national development strategy of our country. That makes us move. So issue of gender equality is just not a human rights issue. It is actually an economic issue. That you can't leave behind more than 52% of your population and expect to do well.
Well, like I did say, a very broad topic and yet not enough time in the world to really delve in and discuss everything that would have loved to. But I would like to really thank my guest, Minister Monica Mchangwa, Minister of Women Affairs here in Zimbabwe. Minister, thank you so much for joining me today here on Beyond the Dollar.
And thank you very much for inviting us to talk about this very important thing. And we're talking about this right after the approval of the National Gender Policy of Zimbabwe.
Yes.
And this was a review. We know very, very well that Zimbabwe has always had a national gender policy. It started in 2005 and it was last reviewed in 2017. And I'm very happy to say to the public that the review of the national gender policy was approved by cabinet, and what that national gender policy is talking about, making sure all what I've been talking about is done. We need to continue to unpack each and everything to make sure that we eventually achieve zero tolerance to GBV. We've got gender equality. We don't have girls being married off as young girls, and we have harmony amongst everyone.
Yes. And once again, Minister Monica Mchangwa, very passionate, should I add. I have been your host, Faith Nyode, and this has been Beyond the Dollar. Pleasant viewing and have a great day.
Thank you very much once again.